What's up, everybody? I will be doing it's gonna be like 2 to 3 parts in this video, so definitely watch throughout the video if you can. There's gonna be some new parts on here that I installed just to get ready for the winter, and some adjustments I have to do with the Civic so I can get ready for the winter, and plus some tweaking because I have to do with this new suspension I added on here. So follow through, subscribe, hit that notification, and watch what I have to do for this coming year, and definitely next year. So hit that subscribe and notification. Make sure you see the video coming up on your feed, and thank you. And it means a lot for me just to do some type of videos like this, because to me it's interesting. So I do like to help some other people if I can, especially other YouTubers if I could, to give them some tips if they're kind of struggling with. If you have any feedback for me, feel free. Just let me know how I'm doing. If there's any type of adjustments I can do to make it faster on the time of the product, yeah. Feel free to help me out, and I'll help you out as much as I can though too. I'm very helpful type of person to for a friend, whatever. So thank you, and definitely watch. Well, you can see them trying to get ready for winter, and although winters kind of sucks, especially like if you're from the north, that you have to deal with salt, snow, ice, whatever that's on the road. It can damage your coilovers or your suspension, whatever you have. So you do have to do some proper maintenance to get up and tame, make sure everything's running efficiently, so nothing binds up or locks up, or the bearings shot, especially like in coilovers like in this. These can get stuck, especially if they're not oiled up most of the time, because they'll get seized up. I can't move it by hand because they're still lubricating. I add a little bit of WD-40 penetrated oil just to get into the area so I can break loose. And feel free, because I already done this whole side already on the passenger side, I believe. Yeah, I think the passenger side I did that one complete. It's all done. Now I'm working on the other side. That you have to note that these can get seized up and everything on the rings itself, so they need to be cleaned. I use a brass brush and everything. You could probably use some type of like stainless steel, but you have to make sure it's some type of soft. You can probably use it the rough stuff really quick with like a stainless steel, but definitely recommend a brass material. Just get into the fine areas, especially like on the areas like this, and maybe like around inside, just to get all the rust and corrosion around it off of it, especially off the threads too. They do get seized up, so, and especially this bearing inside of here, this will lock up if it's not properly lubricated. Now you can see it spins freely. Before, I could not budge it at all, so I lubricated as much as you could. But I'll probably do some maybe some anti-seize, and this is a nickel base, so it has a better coating through the winter time. It can stand up it can stand up on like salt conditions for some time, but recommend to use this anti-seize, nickel base anti-seize on the threadings all the way down, especially into the inside this housing, this body over here, so nothing locks up or anything. You need to have the whole shaft to rotate freely, naturally. Yeah, so you don't get bind up on a track later on if you're planning to use it daily. It's definitely recommended. So lock it up. If this gets locked up, use some penetrated oil on it, a little small hammer just to tap a little bit, but also use a little thing. It's like you just tap it just to free it up a little bit, not banging on it or anything unless it's really locked up. So just keep on using penetrated oil till it frees up, but definitely use some the anti-seize onto the threadings from locking up. But I also have something else I'm going to also install is these. It's from Coilovers Depot. I got them off just because the winter, and I don't want to like keep on taking this off each year, although. So I'm going to put this on top of the spring, but I'll also show you that when I'm done with finishing this. So let's get started. I'm going to push it down to towards like 10 millimeters preload. Now I have set at 10 millimeters. I tighten this smaller collar down with the bigger one. So it's set. Get a little more bite, just in case. Don't want it to come loose. There, it's set. Now, I'm also going to measure inside here because that's going to be the depth exactly what I'm going to have up here. So 12.6 millimeters. 15. So I definitely need to go down a little bit. Bought a smaller one. Give a couple taps with the hammer and the side piece so it doesn't move. pretty much set. So basically just kind of like the other one. Let's measure that out. Now I have both sides all done. Now I'm just going to show you what I'm going to do. I put some penetrating oil on top of where like the ball is on where the joint is, so it helps to lubricate the upper side so it can move freely like this. That's what you really need, especially on both sides. And definitely add the anti-seize on top of the threadings on here, especially before you install these on here, the locks and everything. So it helps you freely spin them, and especially get a tool for here to measure how much preload you're using. And I did with I locked this in, the small one with the small one, and measure how much on each of the these locks are on the differences on how height it is and how much the spring it compresses. And on the two on top right here where it's seated about the same, so it knows exactly that you're really close, to be exact, close on both sides, so you don't have any suspension issues long term. And don't forget to add the adjusters for your dampening on top of this. So I'm gonna get this installed and kind of show you. I'm gonna add a little anti-seize on the threadings on here. So because funny is they should have something better design that actually fills in this whole gap right here that goes in engine bay, and so it doesn't rust anything else. So I'm going to do is to add maybe some plastic material to cover this up in this area so nothing goes in between the engine bay and dries everything out from rust. So I'm just going to get these all seated up at 14. Okay. And make sure before you install everything, you have the dampenings to be exact. Start all the way down to 1 and work all the way up to your settings you want or you had before. So I'm going to have these set for at 10 for me, for front and rear. And I think in the winter time I'll probably jump it down to like maybe a 6 or a 5. So I have some give on the tires and everything, and I'm just going to add a little bit of the anti-seize on the threadings, and I'll probably also I'm going to probably adjust the dampening on the camber settings a little bit, so it's not so aggressive in the snow. Actually, I don't know how much of a difference it would be in the snow comparisons, but maybe I'll just leave it as it is and see how it is in the snow. Well, this wraps up the video for my maintenance on my coilovers and plus installing these on it too. And thanks. If you want to know what these are a neoprene, if I can say it right. Basically, it's like a diver suit material, so it keeps all the water out of it much as you can. And I'll show you kind of reference what it looks like when I have installed out here. So it basically goes like this. Covers up the whole spring. Kind of looks like that. It looks pretty awesome. If you actually want to order these, they'll have a description what size to look for. These are a 220 length for BC Coilovers, and they want to know what the size of the spring. So it's a 62 spring, and I got that a little bit longer just in case I need to cover a lot more surface area. So you can see, yeah, I'm gonna seal this up as much as I can, but I'm gonna probably install these on when I have it on the car. So I make sure I have it really tight areas. I might add like some zip ties so nothing comes loose. I want to show you something just in case you do get these coilover covers and stuff like that. Just make sure you have enough clearances in between the wheel and tire and the fabric, because if you don't, you're going to be rubbing. So I recommend take the wheel off again and put some electrical tape around the whole area towards the bottom. Let's see. Let me actually take the wheel off quick. All right, now I got the wheel off. I say put some electrical tape around the areas around here, so it kind of like pulls it together, so it's nice and tight. So there's no looseness right here, because you don't want to be rubbing, and if you have it rubbing, it'll seep right through, and water actually can set in there, and especially salt. If you're actually in the areas like I am, and we have to deal with a lot of road salt and everything, liquid salt, so the stuff will sit in there and rust everything out. So best thing is to, I would say, get this thing tight as much as you can, put some electrical tape around like this much of an area, how much where the wheel is touching, and you should be good to go. So yeah, now I need to take that off because I needed to do some adjustments for the rear to the front, because I had like about 2 finger clearances. You can see when this is on the ground, I only have like maybe like a 1 finger, so I need to drop it down like 5 threads, roughly 5 to 7 threads, so it sits nice and even. Just want to show you before I put the wheel back on for efficiently. What I did, I put some electrical tape around the edging, it's kind of zigzag X pattern, so it's nice and firm. Don't really have to worry about very much towards the top. There's not going to be very much issue, but you'll the only thing you'll have to worry about is like the vinyl electrical tape will start drying because of cold. It might come loose, so I'll check it on throughout the winter kind of thing to make sure it's permits, it doesn't move. But yeah, I just want to make sure it's against the coil spring, so it doesn't have it's too loose that it actually rubs the tire. But yeah, it looks like it's good. So let me go. How do you think? I know it's not ideal, but it's the proper size for the spring and everything. But I tightened up with the straps on, not straps, but the Velcro straps, the Velcro tape, whatever you call it, together best as I can. It's still kind of loose, so that's why I use the electrical tape to kind of hold together better. So now I put the wheels back on and get ready for my winter. I had to take some time doing some adjustments on the Civic, so I can get ready for winter. Plus I did, you probably already saw that I replaced the front springs. I even took away some of the camber, so I'm about a negative 1.5 instead of negative 2.5. So mostly be streetable, and I still have a lot of the tires. Room for this type of size of tire of 255 35 18s with a 18 by 9.5 by 35 offset. So let me show you what it looks like. You can see that I still have a lot of room to play. You could tell naturally, and definitely it's a little bit. I'll have to do some probably tweakings later on, just in case that the springs need to settle more. Now also I had to get my cambers, my toe position. I was way off too much. I had a friend that kind of guide me how much toe I need for the front to rear side. So he gave me some tips, and I was off by, but before, without any adjustments or anything, I was at for total for each side of 3/8. So I took a gauge tool and I subtracted by it's roughly, I took each side 2 millimeters on each side for the adjustments of the toe. Yeah, the toe where the arms are for took some of the toe out so it'd be more flat. Now I am 1.5 millimeters of almost even towards the with the front each side. So I took a proper gauge just to make sure how much I need to take off each threading, how much adjustments I did. Now it's about 0.0059 of an inch. So that's just perfect what I really need to be at. So it doesn't have any tire wear issues for toe longevity. My friend says if I'm even max 1/8 over past 1/8 of each side, it'll wear out the tires. So thanks for the tips, and hope you guys can subscribe and follow me. I forgot to note that make sure if you want to do something like this, like get some toe plates. I got mine at Summit Racing for like 50-60 bucks. Make sure the front and rear is leveled out the same thickness. If you have mine's kind of difficult, and you can see that's a very tight area. So I had to do boards underneath on the bottom, the front and rear, to make sure it's flat completely. And what's with the trash bag, you say? Well, one thing is it helps settle the front suspension completely. So it's very loose, so it could just naturally slide. So that's very recommended, especially what my friend told me a while ago. So I took the adaptation of learning that. Especially I used to do alignments when I work at the shop. So he gave me that kind of tip to just use plastic bags just to help this front suspension to settle. So thanks, though, too.